One of the most indefatigable critics of 2000 Mules is the Washington Post national correspondent. This is a guy named Philip Bump. This guy has literally, in the last few months, written about 7 articles focusing on the issue of vote harvesting, ballot trafficking, and he's trying his very best. I mean, he's applying, you can see, the tremendous energy to try to debunk the movie.
DSouza is talking about the guy like, oh, bless your heart for trying so hard. You're trying so hard, but you can't with your 7 articles you've written in the course of 7 months. I mean, a month and a half.
Now, to his credit, I invited Philip Bump to a public debate, and he's like, well, I don't know about a debate, but maybe we can do an exchange in the Washington Post. I got to talk to my editors, and I said, okay, why don't you do that? And he's come back to me and said his editors have approved us doing that kind of exchange. So that's really cool. I'm really happy that there's going to be at least some engagement on this issue. I think we're trying to set that up to occur early next week. But I want to talk a little bit about Philip Bump's article. I won't be able to go into it fully now. I'm just going to talk about the opening of the article, and I'll address other points, of course, as we get down the road. But in this very long article, he begins by saying, I'm going to go into a particular incident that he says kind of is representative of the movie, and I'm going to debunk this incident, and in debunking it, I'm sort of debunking the whole strategy of the movie. Interestingly, the incident he picks is not directly related to elections at all. It was a way of validating the geo-tracking data in the movie. Greg Phillips and Catherine Engelbrecht were having trouble getting the Georgia authorities to look at this geo-tracking data because it's never been applied before to this area. And so they said, okay, well, let's solve a murder. Let's try to help solve a prominent murder. And they actually chose 2 murders. We only feature one in the film. I'll feature both in a book that I'm writing that goes with the film. But Catherine and Greg basically said, let's take a murder and let's see if our geo-tracking evidence can help to solve it. And of course, we feature this in the movie. It's a Secoria Turner murder, a young black girl shot in a vehicle during a BLM riot that occurred in Atlanta at right about the time, the summer of 2020. Now, according to Philip Bump, the facts of the story are misrepresented in the movie because according to him, although the movie talks about 2 suspects having been arrested subsequently, he goes, one of the suspects was arrested right away. And that had nothing to do with geo-tracking. So what are these guys telling us that geo-tracking helped to solve that murder when they got the guy right away?
I heard about that. Now, I heard about this guy. So the gentleman he's talking about, the journalist or whatever he's called, he was saying that geo-tracking had nothing to do with catching those guys whatsoever. One turned himself in and one was caught right away, and it wasn't because of the geo-tracking. So he didn't understand why this was given as an example of the great uses of geo-tracking. Yes, I do remember that. Okay, I really want to hear what he has to say about this. Okay, let's go.
Now, Philip Bump, when he says this, he links to an article in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. And if you go and read that article, the very article he links to, it emerges from the article that the facts are not as Philip Bump is representing them. And this is really what happens. Secoria Turner gets shot, and the cops arrest one guy. And they arrest him on the basis that an eyewitness saw him kind of sneaking away from the scene. So based upon this eyewitness testimony, they grab the guy, but the guy goes, listen, I was just leaving the scene. I had nothing to do with it. I was an observer to the shooting, but I wasn't the shooter. And so the cops had no case with this guy. They had no evidence on him. And then a whole year passes. And then in that meantime, Catherine and Greg and True the Vote supply the geo-tracking data to the FBI. The FBI, by the way, works with the GBI. The GBI is the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, the kind of Georgia division of the FBI. And then shortly after that, boom, they indict not only the first guy, who, as it turns out, seems to have been misrepresenting himself. He was involved, but the cops didn't have anything on him. They just had the word of someone who said, I saw him leaving. But now they had the geo-tracking evidence that put him in a very small circle where only those devices could have been, when you look at the timing of the shot, the angle of the shot, it's just those few devices that could have been the shooter.
This is some real CSI type of stuff right here, man. I am intrigued. I really am, man. It's like, okay, this criminals, he got away for a year after killing someone. This dude got away for a year. And because of geo-tracking and other things, that was a part of the investigation, but it could have been the big piece that really brought it home, as he said, that has something, put him in that circle of people that at the time of the shooting, in the area of the shooting, at the angle of the shooting, it was so many people who were in that space. So geo-tracking definitely helped with that. Okay, this is cool.
And so there are 2 arrests. The second guy, by the way, the cops didn't know about at all. These are basically 2 gang members, by the way. They've now been indicted. So the point is, far from this undercutting the movie, the article that Philip Bump links to confirms the movie. But what I'm getting at is these guys, I think Bump is classic, are so tendentious that you would...
What in the world? Yeah, he's a doctor. I called him a doctor before, and I said, I apologize, he's not a doctor. I only call him that because he's super smart. And he'd throw out words like tendentious. Lord, bro, what the tendentious? Like, now I got to put that one in my pocket. Got to go look it up first. Tendentious. Okay, he's so tendentious.
So tendentious that you would think that if he were to sit down and carefully read the article himself, he would realize, wow, this is really remarkable. This actually shows that geo-tracking can, and in this case, it seems like it did. We didn't even definitively say it did. We merely said, look, did you turn this information over to the FBI? Yes, we did. And is it not a fact that shortly thereafter, there were 2 arrests? Yes, and we play a news clip. So we said the simple, indisputable truth of the matter, and here's Philip Bump wading into this. He then gets an article that supports what we said. He misrepresents the article in the Washington Post, and this is supposed to be a fact check. This is supposed to be a fact check of the movie. And it goes on and on like this. I mean, one false claim after the other. Things like, well, Dinesh, and this is not specifically Philip Bump, these could have been legal votes delivered merely in an illegal way. Well, first of all, who...
Okay, Dinesh DeSouza has the same, when he was doing Ben Shapiro's voice, he was doing the exact same voice. And I get it. This is a voice other than his, so it represents whoever he's talking about. It's the exact same voice. I just wanted to say, I noticed.
Who came up with that nonsense? A legal vote delivered in an illegal way is an illegal vote. If a vote is sufficiently contaminated in terms of chain of custody, or you introduce issues of bribery, money has changed hands, it doesn't matter if it's a legal vote. I can cast a legal vote, but if somebody bribes me to do it, it is me. It's my vote. It's a legitimate ballot. But if I got $50 to vote for Biden, that's a corrupt vote. That's not going to be counted. So a legal vote delivered in an illegal way, or an illegal vote contaminated along the way, is not a legal vote at all.
At least pay them people like $250, giving people $50 a piece to talk about some daggone to vote for Biden. My gracious, man. What are we doing here? $50? Look, free. It's lunch. It's lunch. It's dinner. It's groceries. It's all that for people who don't have any money. So if you're reaching out to people who don't have anything, I guess it don't take much to get them to vote either way, especially if they are already a part of the team and that's just ridiculous, man. This blows my mind that this is even a thing, and I'm afraid. I'm telling y'all right now. I've seen the trailer. I've seen the trailer of 2000 Mules, and I've seen some other things. Obviously, because I've checked out Ben Shapiro reacting to 2000 Mules, and he shows some different parts of the film. the documentary itself, and that's how he came up with his point of view, which DSouza said was, it was okay, but it wasn't all the way correct. And now he's talking about this Washington Post journalist, who he's saying, dude, it's misleading what you're talking about. So yeah, but per usual, man, I'm just here to learn, bro, and sis. So I want to hear what you have to say about this in the comments below. If you have yet to hit that subscribe button, please make sure you do so on your way out the door. Once again, guys, I'm Van, and now we are all the LFR family, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video, hopefully inside the Patreon as well. Y'all have been amazing, man. Love y'all.